In his farewell address in 1796, President George Washington expressed a strong warning against the dangers of political parties. His concern was rooted in the belief that factionalism could lead to inter-party conflict, distract from governance, and potentially lead to a decline in democratic norms. Specifically, Washington warned that political parties or factions could lead to the alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of political revenge. He feared that this would lead to a cycle of retaliation and could eventually erode the pillars of government and societal order. Washington particularly cautioned against the spirit of revenge and resentment that political parties could foster, leading to an excessive partisanship and ultimately to a kind of tyranny. Finally, Washington was also concerned about the propensity of factionalism to open the door to foreign influence and corruption, which he viewed as a pathway to undermining the sovereignty and independence of the nation. Throughout his farewell address, Washington advocates for the unity and common interests of the country, asserting that a unity of government, which he maintains constituted the real strength of the nation, was essential to its well-being and its capacity to function effectively. But despite Washington's cautions, and despite the fact that the U.S. Constitution makes no mention of them or their role whatsoever, political parties have grown dramatically in importance and influence in U.S. politics. Indeed, in our current era, it's almost impossible to envision a political system without them. In the simplest terms, political parties are organized groups of people who share similar political views and aims. They seek to influence public policy and government by winning elections, operating the government, and determining public policy at the local, state, and national levels. Political parties, in other words, work towards electing their candidates to office, and this is what distinguishes them from interest groups, which seek to influence government policy and decisions from government officials, but do not run candidates for office themselves. In the United States, like most contemporary political systems, parties perform a number of functions both inside and outside the formal institutions of governance. Political parties help organize political competition by recruiting, nominating, and endorsing candidates for public office, providing a pool of candidates for the electorate to choose from during elections. They also play a key role in organizing elections, mobilizing voters, and facilitating electoral participation. They work to educate voters about issues and candidates, encourage voter turnout, and often provide logistical support on voting days. And by simplifying choices, parties help voters make decisions in elections by providing labels, Democrat, Republican, and so on, that signify certain ideologies, policies, and candidates. Political parties also help to facilitate governance. They develop and promote policy agendas that reflect their ideological beliefs and the interests of their constituents, with the goal of electing officials from the party to work to enact these policies. They also provide a structured environment within legislative bodies, helping to organize debates, votes, and the legislative process. Through their legislative majorities, parties organize the legislature to pass bills. Parties combine diverse interests under broader umbrellas, allowing them to present unified policy positions and platforms. And they provide a key role in political socialization, educating members and the public about civic values, political issues, and the functioning of the political system. Finally, political parties also play an important role as intermediary bodies, acting as a linkage institution between the government and the public, and helping to ensure that public opinion is reflected in government policies. And in a healthy democratic system, parties not only govern but also provide opposition to the ruling party or coalition, offering alternative policies and holding the government accountable. In essence, political parties aim to bridge the gap between the populace and the government, ensuring that diverse interests are represented and that the governing system operates smoothly and responsively. They are fundamental in organizing and operating the U.S. political system, affecting nearly every aspect of the political process. In the U.S. political system, these various roles are often described in terms of the three faces of political parties, with each face representing a different way in which the party manifests and functions in the political landscape. The first of these faces is the party in electorate. The party in the electorate refers to the supporters or sympathizers of the party who identify with its ideology and vote for its candidates. It includes not just the formal party membership, but also regular voters who tend to support the party's candidates. When parties are mobilizing voters to participate in elections, educating voters about the party's ideology or policy positions, or building a base of political support for the party and its candidates, it's functioning as the party and electorate. The party and electorate provides the broad base of support that any party needs to win elections and maintain relevance. It's the face that most people interact with, especially during elections. Next, the party as organization refers to the formal structure of the party, including its leadership, staff, and activists, as well as its state and local offices. This is the bureaucratic aspect of the party responsible for its day-to-day operations and long-term strategy. When parties engage in candidate recruitment, campaign management, fundraising, and developing a party's image and platform, a process referred to as party branding, it's operating as a party as organization. This organizational face ensures that the party functions effectively as a cohesive unit, coordinating campaigns and sustaining the party between elections. It's crucial for maintaining the party's operational health and competitiveness. Finally, the party and government face refers to the elected and appointed officials who belong to the party and represent it in the different branches of government. It includes everyone from the president and the members of Congress to local council members and state elected officials, all of whom are affiliated with the party. The party and government performs a variety of functions to sustain government, including implementing the party's policy agenda by crafting and passing laws that are aligned with the party's ideology or platform, representing the interests of the party and its constituents in government, and engaging in the policymaking process. The party and government embodies the practical application of the party's ideology and policies. It's through this face that parties have direct influence on law, policy, and governance. But it's also important to recognize that while we conceptually think of these three faces as distinct, in reality they're deeply interconnected and overlapping. The party and electorate provides the necessary support for the party as an organization to function, which in turn ensures that the party and government is successful in implementing policy and winning future elections. The success of the party and government can affect the party's image and support base in the electorate, influencing its organizational strategies and electoral fortunes. We can get a sense of the three faces in action by considering the organization of the parties themselves. While there are some differences in how each party operates, both the Democratic and Republican parties in the United States have similar organizational frameworks and structures at the national, state, and local levels. At the national level, the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee, or the RNC and the DNC, are both responsible for promoting party unity, raising funds, and organizing their respective party conventions. They work to elect party candidates and articulate the party's policy platforms. Each national party is headed by a national chairperson who leads the national committee, overseeing the daily operations of the party, strategizing national campaign efforts, and serving as a key spokesperson. In each party, this person is typically selected by party leadership or by the party's presidential nominee and confirmed by committee members. Both parties hold a national convention every 4 years to formally nominate the party's presidential and vice presidential candidates. The party normally adopts its official platform, which outlines the party's position on various political, social, and economic issues at the national convention, with delegates, party members chosen by the state organizations, as well as elected party officials and other party leaders, making decisions for the party. At the national convention, parties also normally select their national committee members. Each state has its own party committee, usually comprised of members who represent congressional districts and state legislative districts or counties. The state party is responsible for running state-level campaigns, coordinating with the national party, and supporting local party branches. They also play a significant role in presidential primaries and caucuses. Similar to the national chairperson, the state party chairperson manages the party's day-to-day activities within the state, fundraising and campaign efforts, for example. States may also hold conventions or caucuses to select delegates to the national convention and to deal with state party matters. At the local, county, or precinct level, parties are similarly organized, with committees and chairpersons responsible for local grassroots activities, voter mobilization, and supporting local candidates. And beneath the county and precinct levels, local party committees and clubs engage with the community, organize local events, fundraise, and serve as the front line for party activities and voter contact. While local party organizations were incredibly powerful in the 19th century, over time, political power has increasingly been centralized at the national and state levels. Local party organizations still contribute to local election campaigns, with members engaging in recruitment and providing a training ground for candidates who might rise to statewide or national prominence. And in practice, each party level is relatively autonomous. Though usually working towards the same goals, national and state parties operate fairly independently of one another in terms of financing and fundraising, nomination and elections, and sometimes even political platforms, with neither level exercising direct control over the others. Finally, let's conclude this video by looking at some of the major contemporary issues surrounding political party systems in the United States. First, there's an increasing ideological divide between the two major parties, leading to heightened partisanship witnessed not just among elected officials, but also within the general electorate. This polarization threatens to exacerbate legislative gridlock as compromise becomes difficult, and in the extreme, exacerbates social divisions, reduces the effectiveness of governance, and even creates the possibility of political violence. The rise of digital technology and social media has transformed how political parties communicate, campaign, and engage with voters. While these tools offer the power to mobilize and engage more effectively, they also increase the threat posed by misinformation and the increase of political polarization and hostility. There's a trend of voters becoming less attached to political parties, showing more willingness to vote across party lines or support third-party or independent candidates. Indeed, the number of people identifying as Republicans and Democrats has declined over time. According to data from Gallup polling, Pew Research, and others, the number of Americans identifying as Republicans and Democrats has declined, and the number of people identifying as independents has increased over time. In the late 1980s, 36% of Americans identified as Republicans, 33% as Democrats, and 31% as independents. By 2022, 27% identified as Republicans, 29% as Democrats, and 42% as independents. Declining loyalty can lead to more unpredictable election outcomes while simultaneously weakening the national party structures. Demographic shifts in the United States also result in a changing electorate, requiring parties to reassess and often broaden their platforms and outreach strategies to appeal to a wider range of voters and address the changing concerns and priorities of the electorate. And in recent elections, we've seen an interesting shift in the specific appeals of each party, a phenomenon we explore in another video. Also in recent years, there's been a noticeable rise in populist and anti-establishment sentiments among the electorate, challenging the traditional party system and the perceived elites within it. This sentiment can lead to the rise of more outsider candidates and a reevaluation of traditional party platforms, potentially destabilizing established party dynamics and leading to unexpected political outcomes. But that's it for now. Please leave any questions you have in the comments section below, and thanks for watching.